our beloved viewers. It's 9 p.m. You're watching on live RTD channel. Welcome to this English news edition. Here are the major stories. The arrival of the head of state in Uganda. Celebrating World Malaria Day at the Ministry of Health. And on the international scene, Spain's on way to shatters its records. Those were the headlines. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margili, arrived this afternoon in Kampala, capital of Uganda, to take part in the work of the Head of State Summit and government of members countries of the transition forces of the government, the members countries, transitional forces of the African Union. During this summit, it will also be a question of evaluating the capacity of Somali army in order to ensure the security and stability in the entire territories of Somalia, but also evaluate the actions undertaken by the forces of the ATMIs on the ground in recent year. On his arrival at Kampala International Airport, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margili, was welcomed warmly with the Minister of Home Affairs of Uganda. The President of the Republic lead a strong delegation ministerial which includes the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the Minister Defense Hassan Umar Mohammed, the Ambassador of Djibouti in Kenya, Mr. Yassine Elmi Bouh, and also the Ambassador of Djibouti to Ethiopia, the representative of our country to African Union, Mr. Abdi Mohamed Heibe, in addition to the President of the Republic, several head of state and government of ITMI's forces contributing countries will take part in the side of the head of state, including the President of Somalia, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, President of Kenya, William Ruto, President of Burundi, as well as several other representatives of international regional organizations will take part in these summits. His Excellency the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and the Minister of Defense, Hassan Umar Mohammed, participated in the ministerial meeting of contributing the countries to a mission of countries participating in the protection of Somalia's security in African Union in Somalia, known as ATMIs, which was held in the capital of Kampala in Uganda. This preparatory meeting deal with several topics in addition to project and decision that will be discussed by the head of state and government of countries contributing to African Union transitional mission in Somalia. During the meeting of foreign affairs ministers and defense minister, the member of state of African forces, many issues include discussed about many issues include the roadmap were discussed, which will be held during the summit of the head of state and government of member states of the African forces, and assignment of level achievement in addition to the general security situation in Somalia, but also the intensified effort against the terrorist group. In his speech, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mohammed Ali Yusuf, at the outset, he expressed in his speech thank and gratitude of Ugandan Minister of Foreign Affairs to the warm welcome. Let us listen to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mohammed Ali Yusuf.
On behalf of the Djibouti delegation, I would like to thank His Excellency General Odongo, the Foreign Minister of Uganda, for the warm welcome and the generous hospitality extended to our delegation since our arrival in this beautiful country. We also thank His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, for hosting this extraordinary summit on the future of ATMIS and the exit plan that the troop contributing countries and the federal government of Somalia agreed to implement. We have received the report on the overall security situation in Somalia, and we would like to start by commending the tremendous engagement demonstrated by the Somali Defense Forces and the Somali security forces in the fight against the terrorist group called Al-Shabaab. We congratulate His Excellency President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud and his government for shouldering the very challenging responsibility with the unwavering support of the ATMIS forces. I also would like to seize this opportunity to pay tribute to all our fallen soldiers who paid the ultimate price for the sake of peace and stability in Somalia. Now, the ATMIS mission in Somalia has reached a stage where we need to wrap it up under certain conditions with a reasonable time frame. The drawdown of ATMIS forces in Phase 1 and Phase 2, the generation of Somali forces to fill the gap, and make sure that we do not leave security vacuums and subsequently jeopardize all the achievements made through enormous sacrifices. And we finally put an end to ATMIS mission by December 2024. I think these are the common objectives contained in the security plan endorsed by all parties involved in Somalia.
The ambassador of Djibouti accredited to the United States said and made a brief statement in New York where he attended a summit and let us listen to the ambassador.
I'm the honor to make this statement on behalf of the IGAD ambassadors here in New York. In light of the current developments in Sudan, the group of ambassadors of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development member states in New York would like to state the following. The group notes with concern the ongoing conflict in Sudan that has led to civilian casualties and destruction of property, and urge the leaders of the parties to heed to the call to immediately and unconditionally cease hostilities and de-escalate tensions, and give peace a chance in line with the outcome of the 40th Extraordinary Assembly of IGAD Heads of State and Government, which took place virtually on Sunday, April the 16th, 2023. It also recalls the communique of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union at its 149th meeting held on April 16, 2023, on briefing on the situation in Sudan. The group emphasizes the African Union's position on the current situation in Sudan, on the need for the parties to swiftly embrace a peaceful solution and inclusive dialogue to resolve their differences as a means to promoting stability and respecting the wishes of the people of Sudan for restoration of democracy, constitutionalism, rule of law and freedom, as well as rejection of any external interference in Sudan domestic affairs. The group calls on all actors and partners to rally behind the regional mediation effort and extend maximum support to facilitate the visit to Khartoum of the three heads of state, President Ismail Omar Guelleh of Djibouti, President William Ruto of Kenya, and President Salva Kiir of South Sudan, who are ready to jumpstart talks between the parties as soon as security conditions permit. The group welcomes the announcement of a three-day humanitarian truce in response to the UN Secretary General plea on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr. It equally welcomes the U.S. brokered 72 hours a nationwide ceasefire that started yesterday at midnight to allow for unfettered humanitarian access to the civilian population. We hope the parties will abide by the ceasefire and will work in good faith with mediators to negotiate and conclude a permanent ceasefire as soon as possible.
Djibouti International Airport witnessed the safe departure of European citizens who were evacuated from Sudan to the Republic of Djibouti, the land of meeting and exchange. They left through plane heading to the French capital, Paris. European national left Djibouti Airport last night around midnight, heading the Charles de Gaulle Airport, where they arrived safely. This tribe include 245 European citizens of all nationalities, including many women and children, in addition to people who fled the fight between the two warring parties in Sudan were relieved when they reached Djibouti after going through difficult ordeal, and they were supported by the European Embassy of Djibouti authorities who provide them with materials and moral support until they boarded the plane. Upon their arrival at the airport, the security forces responsible for the administration, including the gendarmerie and police, facilitate the boardings procedure for European citizens, some of whom were affected by the evacuation's adventure took the place in short conditions. In a statement, some European passengers expressed their relief and thanks the Djiboutian authorities for their support and hospitalities. Other passengers promised to return to Djibouti under other circumstances, deeply impressed by the legendary Djiboutian hospitality. Since the beginning of the war in Sudan, the Republic of Djibouti has supported the evacuation of a foreign national to Djibouti, where the airport has become a landing port of national for the planes, and many countries authorized to carry out the evacuation of these transiting nationals. And carry out this task, all departments concerned with Djibouti airport affairs have been mobilized, such as the control tower, civil aviation, and security forces, including the national police and the national gendarmerie in charge of security. These authorities were non-stop and standby to facilitate the movement of evacuate from Sudan, as well as boarding to the plane to their countries. The national gendarmerie also strengthened its studies and duties in securing passengers during arrival and departure at Djibouti Airport. Gendarmerie's elements provide support and assistance to the passenger during boarding by making procedures flexible while respecting regulatory control at the international level of airports in the face of the influx of arrivals and leading of many planes. Gendarmeries conduct security round at the airports. Still, Djibouti Airport, the international airport of Djibouti, has gone through the 3 days of hard working as large military planes from Norway, Sweden, the United States, France, Italy, Japan, and Canada landed in Djibouti. They were landed at the airport to await their departure to broadly countries in Sudan and evacuate their nationalities, like many other countries have instructed diplomat and humanitarian workers from these countries to prepare for evacuation through the Republic of Djibouti, as more than 100 citizens arrive in Djibouti safely. For Djibouti, this initiative was by the President of the Republic and the Djiboutian authorities spared no effort and mobilized significant resources. The army and security forces have become and taken all the necessary measures and work hard during these 72 hours. The airport and control tower staff were busy managing the flow of landing planes and organizing the preparing by the authorities. After that, the ambassador of the European Union and IGAD, Ms. Sylvie Tebes, thanked the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margili, for allowing the reception of a foreign national on its territory, as it provides once again that it is a land of exchange and encounter. In Sudan, the head of United Nations mission in Sudan, speaking from the port city of Sudan, said that the warning parties ignore the laws and custom to the war as they launch attack on densely popular areas without taking into account the safety and civilians, hospitality, and even cars carrying the sick and wounded. The UN official's statement came in a briefing he gave to the UN Security Council late Tuesday on Sudan time on the latest developments since the outbreaks. Fighting between the army and rapid support forces in the middle of this month. The UN representative of said and delivered a speech in which he made a communication circle from Port Sudan, to which he moved from Khartoum due to the outgoing fighting, and he also briefed by paying tribute to all the Sudanese women, men, and children, including UN staff for the humanitarian workers. And now, other news. After launching the activities of the International Green Wall Resources Network under the auspice of the Minister of Higher Education and Resources, Dr. Nabil Mohamed Ahmed, and Director General of French Institute for Development Researches, the representative of the African Green Wall Agency, and the Director of Resources Center, but also the Minister of Higher Education, held this morning at Campasky Palace Hotel a press conference on details related to the result of launching the International Green Wall Resources Network. Many researchers, students, and university professors participated in this event, and during the press conference, they asked questions related to the International Green Walls. And it should be noted that many African and European journalists participated in this conference. The Minister of Higher Education and Researches, so Dr. Nabil Mohamed Ahmed, delivered a speech in which he indicated that this network serves as a platform for receiving researches with regard and great regard to the green walls. He said. Similar to the member of state of the World Health Organization, the Republic of Djibouti celebrates yesterday in the village of Wa'a World Malaria Day under the slogan "It is time to eradicate malaria." The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble Abdille, presided over the official ceremony to commemorate the World Malaria Day, which was organized in Wa'ab. The event was attended by the Prefect of Arta region, Mr. Mohammed Sheikhu, the President of the Regional Council of Arta, Mr. Elmi Bouh, the Deputy Representative of World Health Organization, Mr. Farah Hassan, and also Deputy Representative of United Nations Development Program in Djibouti, in addition to representative of civil society in the state of where the Minister of Health also organized on the occasion the World Malaria Day in cooperation with the World Health Organization and the United Nations Development Program. The Global Fund in Wea districts and its surrounding areas made a campaign to distribute beds, nets, and impregnate with long-lasting insecticides. After that, the President of the Regional Council of Arta, Mr. Elmi Bouh, and the Prefect of Arta region deliver their speech focusing on the urgent need to strengthen prevention and control of disease vector in rural areas, especially the malaria in remote areas such as Wea, and they both deliver and made detailed information about the health center from the medical staff working with them. And also the deputy representative of United Nations made a speech in which he praised the efforts made by the Ministry of Health in cooperation with its partner to reduce disease rates by 45%, and said once on his the other deputy representative of the World Health Organization made a vibrant tribute to all the health workers who work tirelessly in the fight against malaria. In turn, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble Abdille, spoke at length in his speech about the challenge of combating malaria, which is, in addition to the health space, constitute an obstacle to development in the country, which the Minister also congratulated all the medical personnel participating in these battles, outlining the new goals and objective of to achieve zero case of malaria in Djibouti, despite effort being made on a daily basis against this disease. Malaria is still serious public health problems in the Republic of Djibouti. He demanded the commitment of authorities and leaders at all levels, especially civil society. Finally, the Minister of Health concluded that our country has made progress in its ability to combat malaria by providing the community with target anti-malaria combined methods, conclude the minister. The National Federation of Djibouti Women said the UNFD, within the framework of activities of World Book Day, the National Union of Djiboutian Women organized a workshop to present stories for the benefit of dozens of young people from the primary school located in the 6th district within the framework of the Reading Development Project. During this occasion, the book related to stories were presented by Djiboutian and Somali poets and storytellers, and the best stories were presented. Book Day is an annual event celebrated on 23 on April and organized by UNESCO for the development of reading, publishing, and copyrights. The activities of a consultative workshop on the national strategy for open educational resources, which started yesterday at the People's Palace, are continuing. The participating groups continue to work and made a workshop on four main themes arising from the recommendation related to UNESCO's open educational resources. The discussion made it possible to analyze strengths and weakness as well as opportunities and treat in the various areas of work, mainly related to strengthen the capacity of stakeholders to create, consult, and adapt the redistribute and educational resources to develop campaigning policies to promote effective, comprehensive, and equitable access to high quality open educational resources, and finally to the promotion and strengthening of international cooperation. And now moving on to the international scenes, Spain is preparing for record temperatures of 40 degrees in April. The extreme condition will follow the driest March in 20 years in some areas, which has increased growing concern about the nation's water reserve and officially placed Spain into long-term drought. Reservoirs are around 15% below average level, or with some to just 26% capacity, while the dry conditions are raising fears about the outbreaks of more wildfires with the summer approaching. Spain is safe, and a state meteorological agency said that there will be a progressive entry of a very warm and dry air mass of African origin, causing values typical of summer. This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful evening.